Right, gentlemen, how about it?
Let's go.
Hang on. My twitchy fingers, sorry. Dear. That should be the two of you. There
Lovely,
you go.
lovely. Well, welcome everybody back to the Dick and Dumb show, as it's known. Good morning, Philip.
I take it I'm dumb.
Well, I think you can take it pretty much as read that you are dumb. Yeah. And it's good of you on your day released from your secure facility to come and talk to us. Thank you for that.
Well, they were reluctant to let me out, but they thought they needed a break from me, so here I am.
I understand. I assume that you're suitably restrained where you are now.
I'm in a straitjacket, actually.
Yeah, I thought you would be. It would have to be quite a big one, but
it is. The need for a larger one is increasing, if that's not the wrong word, because my lack of mobility means little exercise, and I'm just becoming clinically obese by the day.
Right. Now, I think it's right to say that we're both happy bunnies because of something that we enjoy other than law.
Well, you enjoy law. I ceased to do that some time ago, but we both have a great interest in our football teams, and each of them have now beaten serious opposition to reach the finals of their respective European competitions. Absolutely. Manchester City wiped the floor beautifully with Real Madrid the other night, 4-0. And West Ham, your team, I think well managed by David Moyes, put in a very good performance and scored a very late goal to go through an aggregate 2-1.
I was just interested, Philip, because we've spoken a lot about football in our time, you and me. When did you first start supporting Man City? Can you remember?
Yes, I can remember exactly. I was 10 years of age. In those days, I was living in Stockport. In those days, because of my age, I was taken by my godfather, James Gosling, who was a season ticket holder at Stockport County Football Club, Edgeley Park, very much my local team. And he would take me regularly in the main stand there. And in 1966-7, Stockport County won the then 4th Division title. This was long before the league now. And I went to the final game of the season where, ironically, they lost 5-4, but they were already champions to Lincoln City. And another thing I remembered was the Tremolos were the in song at the time with Silence is Golden. And all that blared out from this rather appalling PA system, as we would call it now, during the interval, the half time, was Silence is Golden. And that etched itself on my increasingly warped mind. Anyway, moving on, in the closed season, Manchester City, Mick Doyle, Colin Bell, Neil Young, you name it, Alan Oakes, Alan Ogden was the goalkeeper, and they played a friendly at Edgeley Park, which I was taken to by my godfather, and I was hooked. You know, they were just the bee's knees for me. And as soon as my mum was prepared to let me go to Main Road, as it then was, which was a much longer journey. But when she was satisfied when I was at the grammar school that I got friends with whom I could go safely, that's when I started going to Main Road.
Yeah, it's odd how these affiliations sort of grow, isn't it?
Yes, but they do. I loved going to Main Road. There was something actually on this very subject on BT Sport recently. The Marmite Man, as you may find him, Noel Gallagher, very, very, very big City fan, together with his bonkers brother Liam. But he was a pundit on BT Sport, and he was revisiting in his own mind how unique Main Road was as a ground, and it was. It was, because when I started going, it was the old Kipax, the famous Kipax stand, which was all standing on the opposite side of the ground to the main stand, and the atmosphere in that place was just quite extraordinary.
My start of being a happy hammer, a West Ham fan.
Isn't that an oxymoron?
Thank you. Was that in 1975, West Ham played in the final and won the FA Cup against Fulham. Oddly enough, with Fulham having Bobby Moore in the team, Alan Taylor having scored 2 goals.
Yes.
And my dear parents, my father was a Scotsman and therefore had no interest or concept of football. Decided that very day we would go shopping in Reading to the Butt Centre. So I missed
as you do.
And so I missed the game. And then
because it would have been on television.
It was, yes, exactly. You know,
it's one of the crown jewels. It would have been on terrestrial television.
Completely.
So you were in the shopping centre in Reading.
Seriously, I'm still scarred. I'm still scarred by it.
And that I can understand, because I've had those experiences myself, being entirely where I don't want to be, often for domestic reasons, when I should have been
in your own home with your wife, sort of thing.
No, outdoors generally.
You can't comment, can you? Because she's probably in the background.
She is listening. I'll give you an example. The very last derby game, Manchester United against City at Main Road, City beat them 3-1. And it was a unique experience. Nicholas Anelka scored the first goal. Sean the Goater.
We don't need the John Motson bit. Just cut to the chase.
Well, it was great because Gary Neville, who has become even more boring as a pundit than he was as a player, was nutmegged by Sean Goater, who then went on to score the second goal, his first. And it was so pleasurable. You know, the collective laughter that went round the ground. But I wanted to listen to this on the radio, but I was in Chichester shopping. And I was in a particular food shop. And it was on the radio in the food shop. And that's how I learned the scores. Anyway.
There we go. Anyway, Philip, I didn't drag you away from your community psychiatric nurse for us to talk about just football.
I was feeling quite comfortable with that subject because I've no idea what the other subjects are.
Exactly that. And there's a good reason why you don't know it. It's because I want to talk to you about the craft of, as an advocate, as a barrister, dealing with evidence in chief. And the first point is that you're not in this country. You're not allowed to coach your witness. That's right, isn't it?
Oh, that's entirely correct.
And could you just explain what that means?
Yes, coaching means preparing in a pretend way, almost like a mock trial way, behind the scenes as your preparation of the case, preparing your witness for the questions he or she will be asked by you or be cross-examined upon. So you are preparing your witness to give his or her performance in court. That is entirely impermissible in the British legal system. I'm not saying it doesn't go on.
No, but unlike in America, where you do get, in fact, a team of lawyers in a big case representing somebody, one of whom is, as it were, the devil's advocate, is the person who's going to do the, as you say, do the mock cross-examination to get them ready for all the questions that they might be asked. Yes,
well, in that scenario in the States, they literally do it in a mock trial situation. I mean, in our system, you may agree, we don't coach. You certainly can't coach when you're prosecuting a case. You simply cannot really, even now, discuss the evidence in any great depth. And you certainly can't, as the advocate, the barrister, you can't take a Crown witness through his or her statement outside of the courtroom.
No, sorry, you go ahead.
No, they are allowed, are they not, to read their statement given to them by the CPS representative before they give evidence. And they are allowed to take the statement into court with them, but not to just read it out, but as a point of reference, either in examination in chief by their prosecutor, or if referred to it in cross-examination, by the defense advocate, with permission of the judge.
Prosecuting, there is an obligation on the prosecutor, quite rightly, to see a witness before they give evidence and to give them reassurance about the process. But the question that I get asked most often when I'm conducting that role is, can I ask you about this, and I have to say, sorry, that's the evidence.
Yes.
And I can't actually talk to you about the evidence. And they sometimes don't quite understand that.
No, they don't get it. I remember being in the exact situation you're describing when I prosecuted, and they don't get it. They don't get a lot of what constraints are on us as barristers of integrity. Let's put it that way.
Well, we that's not their fault, because very often they're people who have had no experience of the criminal justice system. So we're the people who have
to tell
about that. There is a distinction, obviously, if you're defending, in the sense that you can't coach a defendant, but you do need to take what's called a proof of evidence, or somebody needs to do that. In other words, get their version of events.
Well, I suppose in a rather dinosaurish way, I always refused to proof a client or a witness if I were defending. To me, that was always the litigator's job. By the litigator, I mean the solicitor, to whom the defendant had gone initially before a barrister was instructed. Of course, these days, when a punter can go in the solicitor's front door and never be seen again by a barrister because there's an in-house solicitor advocate.
Let it lie, Phil. Let it lie.
Why, do I sound a tad embittered?
I think the word tad is probably unnecessary in that. Yeah.
Well, but the real point is that when the litigator stroke advocate is doing everything, who knows what's going on? Anyway, I never was prepared to proof a client or a witness. Once you get that signed proof, which is the defendant's statement or his support team witnesses their statement, then you don't coach, or I didn't coach the defendant, and I certainly didn't ever really talk to the witnesses. But I could tell that I could take the defendant through the proof to confirm it for myself. And then I could also suggest to him, based on the prosecution evidence, what he could expect to be asked by the prosecutor. That's as far as it would go.
I suppose one of the things that I'd say in response to that, in terms of whether there is in fact ever coaching going on of a witness behind the scenes or a defendant, it is the significant number of defendants whom you and I have represented or prosecuted who simply are running the wrong defense.
Yes.
So they say, I wasn't there, when in fact they could say I was there, but in fact I was acting in self-defense or whatever it might be. There's a whole range of different things. But it's a surprising number of cases, isn't it, where people end up going down the wrong trouser leg of their defense.
Yes, that's in the view of the advocate who instinctively knows, as we have experienced ourselves over the years, what the better line of defense would be, but it's not for us to change the version the defendant's given.
No, I want to move on. Yeah, sorry, I want to move on, Phil, because Keith is gradually losing the will to listen here.
Oh, don't say anything you don't mean. It'll stick with me.
When it comes into court, and so this is that craft I was talking about, taking somebody through their evidence in chief as opposed to cross-examination, and maybe on another occasion we can talk about cross-examination. Can you just help us with what the rules are about that, about what you can and can't ask?
Well, firstly, you cannot lead your witness. By lead your witness, you cannot put the words into his or her mouth. The evidence in chief has to come naturally from the mouth of the witness. As I've hinted at, there are times when a witness's memory can fail him or her. Judges often say in court, don't they, Richard? It's not a memory test. He has a statement. And so if there's a particular point of evidence that the witness is struggling with on detail detail essentially, the prosecutor is entitled, with the permission of the judge, to invite the witness to read to him or herself the relevant part of the witness statement to, as we call it, refresh his memory. But that's as far as it can go in terms of suggesting to a witness when asking in chief your witness, one's own witness. That's as far as you can go. The rest of it should come naturally and in an unled, unsolicited way.
I did once have the experience of this. It was a long time ago, because it was when I was still doing family work, and I was doing a dispute about a child, and a circuit judge, His Honour Judge X, was called by the other side, so I had to cross-examine this judge, which was quite daunting. I was very junior. But it was in the family court, and the family courts don't particularly follow what you've just said, Philip, about the importance of not leading a witness. So the barrister on the other side called this judge as a witness. And I remember it very well. She said to him, "Now, would you agree that," she was Welsh, by the way, "would you agree that..."
I thought she was from the subcontinent, given the accent you did.
Yeah, thank you. And before I was sort of half out of my chair like that, going to object, because it was, "Do you agree that" is bound to be a leading question.
Absolutely.
But before I could do that, the judge, who was the witness, said, "Madam, I don't know what you're going to ask me, but I cannot answer it, but it's going to be a leading question."
Brilliant story. That is a lovely story, actually. But what I was going on to say was the skill of evidence in chief is as important as cross-examination. Now, a prosecutor has...
Sorry, go ahead.
A prosecutor has very little leeway in the sense that he or she, certainly I found, you pretty much had to follow the structure of the witness statement taken by the police from the witness. There was some room for manoeuvre. I mean, after cross-examination, and this could be another subject for a future time, there is what we call re-examination, which is another version of evidence in chief, but it's like a mop-up exercise after the witness has been, destroyed or undermined in cross-examination. You're looking to repair the damage. But again, in re-examination, you are bound by the same no leading questions rule. But defending, if you could do a good evidence in chief, defending based on a proof, but the structure was entirely your choice as the advocate, it could be a case winner, absolute case winner.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me ask you about this, because I'm just looking over at the lovely sunny front of the Crown Court at Lewes.
Are you getting jealous again of the people going in?
No, I'm not, because I'm going to be going in there in a minute myself.
Oh, of course, yes.
There was a very famous case tried over there, which was the trial of Sean Jenkins, who was ultimately acquitted.
Yeah.
But was in fact convicted in Lewes at the Crown Court there of the murder of his foster daughter, Billie Joe Jenkins.
Yes, it was his
advocate.
Yeah, his barrister. Yeah.
We don't need to name the barrister, but famously, or possibly infamously, called Sean Jenkins and simply said, in a rather pompous way, "Did you kill Billie Joe Jenkins?" And he said no, and then sat down. Now,
yeah, that's right.
That the evidence in chief. What do you think of that as a tactic?
I thought even at the time it was a very great mistake. It was also, as we're not naming names, it was also a rather lazy way and a rather maverick way of thinking that you are then putting the burden immediately on the prosecutor. And you and I knew that prosecutor very well, the Silk, who coped with it admirably.
It was Camden Pratt.
Yes, it was Camden. Yeah, I thought we weren't mentioning names. You see, so there we are.
Well, no. I think we can mention his name. But the thought that Camden, I know Camden. I was led by Camden. I was in chambers with Camden. The thought that he wouldn't be ready to cross-examine is just ludicrous. And he spent
Totally.
3 days, just picking it apart as a case.
Correct. And what duplicated the error of the decision by the defence barrister was that he was then left with an enormous hill to climb in re-examination.
Exactly.
Which my recollection is that he didn't do particularly well anyway.
No.
So he did Jenkins no good service at all with that tactic. Very, very dangerous.
And there's also this thing that not only do you need to, if you're defending somebody in that position, not only do you need to get the evidence from them, you want to get them settled in the witness box, because it's not an easy place to be at the best of times. And just
it must be horrendous. Bad enough for professional people, police officers find it bad enough, but no, for you, for Joe Public, it must be awful. And yes, that's a very good point. It is a settler. A decent evidence in chief, which should begin in a settled way, and then build up the momentum on the relevant facts. It's a settler,
and it's a face they know, it's a person they know, it's somebody they know is on their side who's asking the questions.
Yes. Yes, I mean, a particular. Are we running out of time?
No, you're okay.
No, you are, Phil, but I'm not. It's okay, don't you worry.
Yes, I'm not a replicant, but what I used to try and do was encourage the defendant or the witness to relate to the jury, to almost introduce them to each other. So it would be, can you tell the jury this? Or words to that effect. And I like to think most times that would settle the witness down even more, because it made that relationship, that key relationship, is the witness and the jury. It's the jury making up their minds. It's not the barrister.
No.
But I know a good evidence in chief was very, very advantageous.
And a very difficult skill to conduct well, I think.
Yes, it is difficult, because you're opening the batting. It is very difficult. You're in virgin territory. You won't understand that phrase, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no. Thank you, Phil. It's because people always think that being a barrister involves fierce cross-examination and all that sort of thing. And there are skills in that, and we will at some stage discuss those skills. But I always think that getting your own witness or your defendant, the person you're representing, or who is one of your witnesses in your case if you're prosecuting, into the witness box, giving them the chance to give their version, well, as you say, that link with the jury is quite a subtle skill.
It is. It's totally underestimated, because what you have to remember is you are removing from the dock this sort of strange creature in the dock that the jury don't know from Adam and have heard little about. And they're looking at this bloke in the dock where the defendant sits, often for days. And then you are removing that person, man or woman, from the dock into the witness box. And they are meeting, in parentheses, they are meeting that defendant, the jury are, properly to judge him in terms of not just what he says, but his demeanor, body language, to judge him as to his truthfulness or not. And you are the vehicle, as the advocate, you are the conduit, the introducer for that process, which can win or lose trials.
I'm certainly aware that a number of people at the bar think of you as a conduit, Phil, but that's a different point altogether.
I don't think that's the exact word, but
we'll
move on.
I can't remember what it said in the ladies' lavatory in Lewis Crown Court, but it was something along those lines anyway. Phil, thank you for talking to me today about a subject that I sprang on you. But you'll understand why I did, because in fact you were put in the position of a non-coached witness. And you dealt with it, if I may say, admirably. I think the jury hates you. I think they're going to find you guilty.
They always used to. My reputation was such that all I had to do was stand up and a witness would begin to cry.
Yeah. I think the one man and his dog that we have as an audience, the one man's switched off and the dog has stopped watching as well now. So
No, the dog has become a higher courts advocate, Richard.
Now. Philip, thank you very much for talking to me today.
You're welcome. Regards to Keith.
Yes, I'm here, Philip, and if I may say so, it's said that the dog is a man's best friend. You've got quite a few hundred now, best friends.
What? They're all dogs.
Now, steady.
Yeah. We'll have another chat possibly next week, Philip, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think if it suits you, a Friday early morning slot like this is ideal. But that's
okay. Well, you know, let's see. I'm not going to reveal my movements on national television.
But you're not on national television.
I'm not going to reveal my movements.
Listen, you be careful. You'll upset your viewer in Patagonia.
Exactly. Yes.
The Tierra del Fuego.
With subtitles. Yeah. Not because they can't speak English. It's just that very strong Stockport accent.
Yes, indeed. So it's very strong, isn't it? Anyway, it's been a pleasure. See you guys again.
All right. Okay. Cheers, Phil. Thanks for linking in. Lovely.
Another interesting chat.
There we go. Yeah. Well, it's. I'm away.
Yeah. No, you're still alive.
I'm still alive.
Say goodbye to your fans.
Whoever the fan is, I do personal appearances if you want me to. In particular, if you've committed a heinous crime, I do that, and I'd even get my fancy dress wig out if that were to be the position. Thank you for watching. I hope it's of some interest to you. Philip is a great source of knowledge about all matters within the criminal law, and it's a pleasure to speak to him, but also to draw out some of the anecdotes that he has about his life at the bar. And it means that his primary carers can go and do their shopping when he's talking to me. Anyway, see you soon.